The picture on the upper right corner of the TV screen was soon replaced by the next piece of news. This week, a resident found a rock in the art district. It has a square shape with a width of 5 centimeters, as shown in the picture. Anyone who can provide us a clue to this nameless rock will be rewarded $500. In the picture was a translucent green rock that looked like a precious stone. Jacob found the rock in the picture quite familiar. Then he recognized it as a low-tier spirit stone. He had confiscated 2 storage bags on top of a skyscraper in the art district, and he had dropped one of the spirit stones from one of the bags. The rock in the picture was most likely the one he dropped. "I know something about this rock." Mila took the opportunity to change the subject. "Someone picked up this rock and sent it to the antique market for appraisal. But no one recognized what kind of precious stone it was and couldn't give a price for it. Afraid that the rock had radioactivity rays, they sent it to the Mineral and Rock New Materials Research Center in the city. And the result?" Jacob and Kathy looked at Mila nervously, waiting for her to finish. "It showed that the rock is not a precious stone and has no radioactive rays, nor is it harmful to human bodies. Besides, it's very brittle and can't be made into anything artistic. So, the Material Research Center bought the rock off that person with $500, Mila continued. Jacob was about to heave a sigh of relief when Mila continued. The incident ended for the public. However, the Material Research Center couldn't decide on the category of the rock and handed it to the Provincial Research Center, which in turn handed it to the Special Minerals Research Center. The center tested it with the most advanced devices and found that the rock is a new mineral with high-quality energy. Walter interrupted her by saying, "I know something about it as well. One of my friends works in the Mineral Research Center. He told me that this rock has drawn the attention of the National Science Research Institutes, and they're investigating the origins of this mineral rock. We wouldn't have known about it if it were not in this circle." Jacob inhaled and nodded. Spirit stones were the most common items for cultivators living on and above Fifth Heaven, and they were to cultivate and trade for other stuff. However, for the Science Institutes, it was a new kind of energy source, which was both clean and efficient. If one mastered the new source of energy, one mastered the direction of development of the world. No wonder the government was paying so much attention to it, and the local TV station even placed a reward for the clues of the rock in an effort to dig up the origins of the rock. "Don't talk about rocks." Grandma was angry since she was interrupted. "If So's family has any difficulties, we'll try our best to help them. Do you hear me?" When she had fallen ill due to high blood pressure, Soph's family saved her life. Grandma always remembered it. Now, seeing the business of Soph's father in difficulty, Grandma was very anxious. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll try my best. The MTX Group and other ocean research institutes are working on the Deep Ocean Oil Project. Besides, Kathy's father's factories in the UK will start working with the London branch of MTX Group." Hearing the mention of her name, Kathy looked up. When she heard information about her father's factories, her eyes lit up. "We hope Soph's father's company will get over the difficulty. After all, we have a lot of joint projects together." Walter tried to calm Grandma down. "Good. Soph's family is like our own. You use your connections and see if any big businesses can give Soph's father a helping hand. Aren't you close with the governor and the chief of the Energy Bureau? And you have former classmates working in the agriculture department and business department, right?" Grandma's words shot toward Walter like bullets. Okay. Don't worry, Mom. I'll make some calls when I finish my meal." Walter nodded in exasperation. "That's more like it." Glancing at Walter, Grandma finally picked up her fork. Mila smiled at Walter and was about to eat when Grandma said, "And Mila, you can use your connections as well. Some of your former classmates are running big businesses abroad, and you must help Soph's father get some deals." "Okay, Mom," Mila agreed immediately. Noah was eating a chicken leg leisurely. In fact, he was the wealthiest person around the table, since the precious stones in his storage space could easily sell for millions of dollars. but he had nothing to do with the North Atlantic Dragon Palace's business on land. Therefore, he didn't care to offer any help. When dining was over, Walter and Mila returned to their room on the second floor, and each contacted their former classmates, hoping to find some help for MTX Group. With their international reputation in the science circle, they had a lot of connections in Europe, especially with their former classmates who had taken important positions. It wasn't hard for them to achieve certain things. That was why the deputy mayor of the city didn't care to offend these two figures, and Michael had been reprimanded so harshly by his father for messing with Jacob. Walter and Mila had never asked for favors from anyone after graduation. They didn't even call their friends at the Education Bureau when Jacob was applying for university. However, now they began making phone calls to their friends and former classmates to help MTX Group, and their requests got lots of attention. Yeah, Senator. The exploration project of the Ocean Research Institute and MTX Group is a major energy project spanning the next 10 years in the North Atlantic area, and I hope it'll go smoothly with your help. Hi, Linda. How's the weather in France recently? And your wine business? Oh, you acquired a new winery? I have a friend from MTX Group. Yeah, their stock is not doing well recently, but they also do business on food supply. Do you want to talk to him? I'll give you his number. One on the balcony and the other in the room, Walter and Mila kept making calls, urging all their connections to do business with MTX Group. With his acute hearing ability, Jacob listened to his parents' phone calls while cultivating. He didn't know that they had such broad connections, from government officials to overseas wineries, from the shipping tycoon of Australia to Wall Street investors. They had contacted every connection that had the potential to help MTX Group's business or to improve its public image. Jacob even thought that if his parents changed from science research to business, they would do great with their connections and brains. Half an hour later, Draken, who was listening to Elder Frank's report, heard his cell phone ringing. Hello, who's speaking? Draken answered the phone.
Oh, I'm Linda Matthews, the owner of Chateau Lafitte of Bordeaux. Are you Draken Richards, the president of MTX Group? My good friend Mila told me that you plan to import wine. I can provide you with 500 boxes of 98 wine for a trial sale.
Draken froze at the offer from number one winery in the world, which produced the most coveted top-grade wine. The phone on his desk rang. After asking Linda to wait for him on his cell phone, he picked up the phone on his desk.
Hello, sir. I'm Emerton, the executive director of Glory Shipping Co. in Australia. I called to ask if my company can work with the Australian subsidiary of your group. My good friend Walter asked me to call you tonight. We plan to build a new port at Melbourne, and if it's convenient for you...
His smooth accent floated from the phone. Draken widened his eyes, surprised that another business opportunity was knocking on his door. Working with the biggest shipping company in Australia to build a new port was definitely good news that would push up MTX Group's stock prices.
Mr. Richards?
The woman's urging voice came from his cell phone. Gritting his teeth, Draken glanced at Elder Frank standing before him and instructed calmly. Go and summon Elder Liam and the others. Get some reliable assistance as well. We'll be busy. The South Atlantic Dragon Palace united the other two Ocean Dragon Palaces and tried to cut off MTX Group's land business. Meanwhile, they launched smear campaigns, pushing down MTX Group's stock prices. Despite his elite team, Draken was overwhelmed by their sudden attacks. The former boss of the group was now being forced to the edge of the cliff. The old Dragon King means to rally after his return. Shall we organize a grand welcome party? Elder Frank looked at Draken and asked. Draken shook his head. Jacob's parents are helping me. I shouldn't count on the old Dragon King to pull this mess together. We must fight back before he comes back. Darius was one generation older than Grandmaster Hank of South Atlantic. Draken could imagine the overwhelming pressure Grandmaster Hank would face when his father, who had been absent for the last 20 years, returned. The North Atlantic Dragon Clan's power had fallen to such a shabby state in Draken's hands. However, Draken felt like Darius, his father, had more reasons behind his fury.